Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I actually was going to be perfectly here. Like, not perfectly, but like as I was going to chat, I had like a massive burping fit. Don't mind me. I just had a giant gulp of coffee and then nearly burped it straight up onto my computer here. Very classy, very classy. That is me. You come here for the content of classy nerd artist. But yeah, so I've actually got everything queued up. My goal for today, um, nothing bonkers, but I switched to face cam since we are officially here and I'm good to go. Um, so I'm gonna ask a serious question that nobody make fun of. The pimple. Okay, okay. I know the way the camera is, you don't see it too much right now, but the lighting is hitting it, and it is driving me crazy. I woke up and it was one of when you wake up and it's one of those ones where it's like throbbing. Absolute worst. Um, Don't mind me, I'm just a teenager with pimples. And by teenager, I mean old man who randomly gets pimples. Probably because it's so cold and I've been wearing like so many hoods and hats that there's so much pressure there when I'm out for doing my walks that it gets all sweaty. So, random thought I had today, though, that I thought one day, Britain, I'll make it. If you notice, I have my one and only fantastic Buzz Lightyear mug. It's getting beat up, hard to tell, but like there's little scratches all over it. On the other side, of course, it's a Ray done, so it's got the dorky text always, right? To infinity. We also love My Hero Academia here. Can't see it unfortunately because of the camera, but got a Bakugo right above there and a Deku above the other Detolf. Definitely want, like I said, to set up another camera so like there can be some more love for what's on this side and maybe higher because there's some cool stuff behind me. Um, but no, to infinity and beyond. Go infinity and beyond plus ultra. And I do like a weird Buzz Lightyear my hero style. I think that would look dope. But that was just a stupid idea that I had randomly. As I grabbed my mug, I was like, ha, to infinity and beyond plus ultra. But I knew my hero looks dope. Vigilantes. Never read the manga, so don't have the source material for it, but like mentally. But sometimes that's better if you go in blind. But all right, so shall we? I've got my five doodads up in here that we can peek through. And we will go from there. After that, I do want to look at Marvel Rivals just because I want to show off how gorgeous this new event is. I can't, like, they don't have to do all the things that they do, but they keep doing it. I didn't get a chance to play yesterday. I know Thursdays are normally game days for stream, but like I said, we've been dealing with some family stuff here that just kind of wasn't great stuff. But we'll handle it. But I couldn't end up streaming yesterday for games. But either way, I didn't get to play Marvel Rivals, but I do want to at least show it off, and I'm itching to play. So I'm not gonna lie. Probably after I get off stream today and have lunch, and go for a walk, and start some laundry, I'll probably do some Marvel Rivals actually, because I really just want to. Um, but anyway, let's get grooving, right? First one on the block is Sarah Hermelin. That seems too easy to say. Always worries me. I saw this was a layout, like a lineup. I'm sorry, and that always gets me excited because there's a lot of breakdowns. Like usually, if someone has a lineup like this, they'll do breakdowns, and already we can kind of peep. I like that. Like this is clearly the Noise Renegades faction. Weird. Anyway, the I like the cohesive element between them all. It's like this chainmail armor, but the armor's made up of like or scale mail armor, really, it looks more like. But it's all made up of like these like purplish blocks. Like they look like some sort of reclaimed metal, like it's like salvage and scrap, right? But that's really cool. I like this cohesive look between all three that you know, that solidifies like, hey, these are all from the same faction. They all have different vibes, but they all have this same like hodgepodge reclaimed armor. And honestly, this something like this, like a big old axe on a chain, that gets me. It gets me. It gets me good. But yeah, this doctor looked hella cute too. So not only okay, so they just keep going. There's two different factions kind of that they're doing. The Symphonia Consortium, the dominant faction. Whatever this is going on, I am here for it. Like beyond here for it. The fact that they even has these high heels, this overly created robot that looks like it's just for pomp and circumstance. You know, like one of those ones where it's like it is purposefully so elegant but arrogant in its design. Okay, and then like the giant bulwark. I like that it looks like a military, right? It has the billy club or, you know, more traditional tonfa weapon, but it also still looks like a sword, right? Because it's longer and flat. So that's a cool design that they kind of melded both. I appreciate that. Because the big sword and shield is classic, but then having it look like a billy, it almost looks like he's more of like a riot control kind of character too. I'm intrigued by this world, this personal project this person created. It's the land of Sonata, and like everything has like slight musical elements to it. And then this guy's even just singing. Or it maybe has a radio. And then this is just, that's a fun one. That this inventor clearly is like super intense, can do all these cool things, has these massive mechanical arms, but then doing little simple everyday mundane. All right, so I don't want to read everything because that'll take us too long, but I did want to read noise renegades believe. Okay, so I don't know what renegades mean. I don't know if that's a word. I'm just an idiot. Noise renegades believe that the only noise in chaos is natural, and so they craft armors that are purposely clunky and noisy using raw pieces of magnetized iron and chimes. Dope. Okay. Man, like I love hearing like that's their logic, right, in this world. And even if you're playing a game, that might not ever need to like that would never be addressed necessarily, right? Like that's not a piece that would have to be like spoken. But when you play it, it's kind of like an understood thing that you can kind of gather. That's adorable that the doctor has protection mode. Just boop, the fixer. Just this is cute. This is some cute stuff. I really like this. A berserker. It's a high frequency magnet. Neat. These breakdowns of even how these are held together. Pretty cool. I was curious what, oh, it's a war drum. That makes sense then for being all noise. And she's got literally her weapon itself is the ding. I'm completely blanking. The fork. Very cool, very cool, very cool. And what's the opposite then? These are small, oppressing elite, prestigious, advanced technology with, you know, the automatons and stuff. I like how everything apparently emits some sort of musical cue. Oh, it's a whistle. Man, this is smart. These are really smart designs and well thought out. I could sit here and read all of these and it would take way too long. I'm not going to. But, oh, they even have my favorite, you guys, the exploration too. Oh, I like where they settled with the robot. This is cute. And the evens, like I like the idea of being a small little woman too. That makes the robot seem more extravagant. And it just keeps going, right? Saying I'm in love with this entire concept. Such amazing work. Yeah, I love this. I love this a whole lot. This I gotta take a peek at this person's stuff. Okay, kind of. I like this like stylized painting a lot that they did with these. Oh, the little cat, like the shaman. That's good. That's good stuff. Inspiration. I already give it a like. I could tell from the thumbnail. I liked it. Okay, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds. And this person clearly knows that this is top tier work. They put it as their top piece. Man, I need to update mine. I know I've talked about it, but I need to update my portfolio because I'm starting to use it more. I've got like old crap on here that this doesn't resonate, right? This is old. Like 10 plus years old, right? That's not for right now. We need to do something about that. If we're gonna be using ArtStation every day here like this, I need to have something better of my own. I'll maybe do that later today or this weekend. I'll make a mental note to do that this weekend because even my name doesn't have. I've adjusted all of my socials now to capital B, capital D, just to read better, be cleaner. But yeah. Anyway, keeping on. Natalia Casas. Ooh, I like this vibe, like almost like a 60s-ish, 50s kind of clothing and design. Are these three? Is this a? Oh, it's a concept artist. Okay, I'm like I can't tell if this is hand painted or 3D. Okay, so that makes sense. I was like, it looks 3D but paint over, so that's exactly what they did. So here you can see they did the 3D with like slight paint overs of stuff. Looks clean. Yeah, I mean these aren't like the kind of games I would play, like that. You know, like that, like 3/4 angle kind of slower stuff. But I can appreciate the designs. Not bad, not bad. And this one, I've told you guys before, give me like big owls, big birds. Like obviously this isn't big, but in relation to the mouse, it is big and it is adorable. Like I had mice in the house. We had mice in the house and we had problems with mice. They suck, right? Absolutely disgusting, hard to deal with because they got in through like a hole in the backyard that they dug through our basement. Nasty stuff. We had to have somebody come out and do all this work. But seeing stuff like Mouse Guard and stuff like this, like these little guys, and then I'm like, well, maybe mice are pretty cute. Maybe I was wrong. Yeah, look, how could you look at that and be like, screw mice, they're garbage. Look at that little cutie. I'm not gonna lie, the foot and the tail still gross me out because I just don't like what I've had to deal with in our house. But still, amazing work nonetheless. Not to discredit this artist just because mice are kind of gross. Oh, that's a cute moment. Like when we talk about stuff that reads immediately, this is definitely one of those things, right? Like you look at this and you clearly see a father and a son. The son clearly, like the dad, clearly some sort of high mage wizard character, right? Trying to teach the son, and that reads immediately. You look at that and you know the scene, labeled father and son, but that pretty much I'd assume that's the story we're being told. A lot of cute little mice stuff and creatures this person's done. I like it. As usual, I like when we scroll down and we see growth, right? Like, not that these are bad. I'm not saying these are bad by any way. But 9 years ago, right? Versus 4 months ago. You can see the growth, right? For sure, in this person's progress. Very, very fun to see. I had to click. I haven't clicked on like a dwarf little guy before. And it's always littered with ArtStation, right? There's always like little dwarves. But these are the Golden Root Dwarves, keepers of ancient horrors. But what got me is the Jurassic Park energy of this in my head. That it's like it's caught in the ember. The dino DNA. But that's a cool idea though. That's a really neat idea. The idea that they're digging through stuff and they actually end up with amber, right? That's not uncommon then, given the fact of their dwarves. And instead of utilizing like gemstones and other minerals and precious metals, they're instead using, you know, the amber. I appreciate that. And even like that, like it's like a horned beetle of sorts that is in the shoulder. You know what I mean? So it feels, yeah, that's smart. Stefan Darwin. Cool ideas, cool ideas. I like these styles right here. That's what I immediately was attracted to. Oh my gosh, did they model or concept? What did they do? I know Bushranger, but I know this is the style. So did they just maybe... Because this character didn't change. Really, I think the flowers are what changed. But so did they do 3D? Or is this just a... concept artist, so maybe they just had... Okay, I see. They did the concept for these things. Gotcha. Still cool. I love... That was one of my favorite styles for Bushranger. It's so cute. So lively. But anyway. Phantomas. Becoming invincible. Not gonna lie, I thought this was a DC Comics thing at first glance. But still real cool. In love with an alien. Okay. And good old Bushranger. Yeah, this is some clean stuff. I'll stick around for more, Stefan. Again, from the Ukraine. They make some dope stuff. Got some a little bit of weird anatomy going on here. Like the neck of the arm gonna feel weird. Her breasts don't really make sense based on the like form of her body. How this one's so sticking out, but still it's pretty dope. Ooh, I didn't even really get a good glimpse of the full image. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, we are running down the clock now to just the last one, and it was nothing like I didn't want to analyze this. I just wanted to see it because it looked cool. Sometimes it's just you want to just look at pretty, right? And here we are. That looks great. The play on the colors, right? So you've got all these warm colors all over. The dragons burning down everything. The molten rock, the trees being ablaze, all the, you know, the embers flying. And then this cool magic that despite everything else being so warm, somehow the idea is that her magic, right? The girl in the middle, obviously. Her magic is so powerful, whatever she's casting right now. There's a little bit, you can see the warmth, right? Glowing on these guys. And he's blocking off the fire and stuff too. But her magic is so powerful, we don't even see like almost any. Like we see like a glimpse of some warm color on her, but she just pops then with these cool blues and grays and gold. I really like that. I would assume there's supposed to be multiple dragons because logistically, if she's like looking at this guy, but Wizard of the Coast, so Dungeons and Dragons stuff, so you can assume this person does some cool things. From Russia. What did Russia and Ukraine and Poland, like they pump out some of the best 2D illustrators, I swear. Like I don't know what it is. What they, you know, whether it's their education. Obviously there's a whole other slew of problems going on in those areas right now, unfortunate and terrible. But when it comes to the arts, they're doing something. Very cool. Andrew Kuzinski. The IY. Don't know if that's pronounced any differently, but good stuff. Okay. Well, the last thing then I wanted to look at, I didn't get a chance to super appreciate it because I had planned on playing Rivals yesterday. I didn't, like I said, because of the family stuff that came up. However, I wanted to really look at this on stream when I played then, but I didn't get a chance to. And so that means I want to look at it now, if only for like 2 minutes, just to appreciate the new event. Let me turn down my music. Here we can go to we'll go to the FPS here. So we can see me, or wait, here, you guys can hear the game audio. It's fine. Be kind of quiet, but I'm sure the audio has something cool with it. So I don't want to, well, I guess if I turned off mine, I don't even know if there's something cool with it. Let me just crank the volume down in the game. I always forget, so I'll crank the volume down in different ways when I'm streaming and stuff like that. And then I'll come to play and I'm like, I can't hear my game. It's broken. All right, to infinity and no more coffee. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But okay, so the event itself showcases these new skins, right? Gorgeous skins. This Black Widow. She has some cool sound effects a little bit, but the real like winner of this is this guy. This Iron Fist skin has some of the literal best audio in a custom skin, in a unique skin like this. It literally has the like the drum when he's running on the walls. And it has like 8 to 10 different like flourishes, like bells and chimes when he bounces off. So it feels so unique. And he's got countless other audio cues that happen for him that are just, again, they didn't have to go this hard, right? Like so much. And the fact that his MVP has this whole lion, has the drum, this giant asset that they made just for this, you know, like talk about like someone doing things right. I can't stress enough. Same with this Doctor Strange. I didn't realize his audio was so different. That it's like the big gong when he pulls out his shield. Dong. And so many more like the whistly sounds. Like, I can't make them because I'm not going to. But you know what I'm saying. Like those like really like classic Asian inspired like. Okay, I tried and it sounded stupid. That sounded more of like like a Western. Like a standoff. Yeah, totally wrong whistle. But anyway, where is I forget you have to access it from here, right? So this is a new mode. There's new missions, all that jazz. Cool, right? I like it. Haven't tried it yet, but I like the idea. They give you new challenges every couple days, so it's not like it would behoove you to wait a little bit if you're only going to play a little bit, because then you have more to do in like each go. But one, we get this skin for free. I'm excited to see if he has any audio differences too. Even if he doesn't, this is definitely my new Star-Lord skin. Like, so good. Fabio energy with this hair and these jacked arms too. Magnifique. His little emote when he's kicking the ball, which is a nice nod then to the game mode itself, which is cute. But this part is what got me, that the whole idea is you're gathering paint, right? Like each bit of currency gathers paint. And so presumably you'd paint this big image. But like last time, you can customize it with the Jeff, the land shark, had like a Christmas card you built, and you could do as you earn things, you could put different Christmas trees or different things, and you decorated your own greeting card, which was, again, you didn't have to do that, but it looked great. But this one, now look how cute this looks. This painting looks great, right? Looks cool. Don't mind my FPS counter on the top. But look at this. Your cursor unveils the parts of it right now as you're previewing it. And it has, look how gorgeous this movement looks. Like, that's just me controlling with my mouse, obviously. And so you're previewing what the full piece would look like once you've got it done. But this, why did they have to make it so pretty? Like, this looks so cool that you can, and when you go quick, you can see it. It really breaks apart because it's literally that one texture is being thrown around. I mean, and it's nothing crazy. Like I'm sure programming wise, this isn't like bonkers, but does it look gorgeous? Yes. Does it feel weirdly satisfying just to kind of move this really pretty thing with this trail and have it get bigger as you move quicker? Yeah, 100%. You bet your bottom dollar. But yeah, I'm in love with everything that this game has been doing. I cannot sing enough of its praises. I want to play it more. I've not had time, but I had to show off the that stuff. It was too good not to, right? Need to appreciate. But anyway, so we are hitting our 11 o'clock point probably. 10:58. I'm doing, if anybody knows me, they know I'm like the most timely person you'll ever meet. I'm never late. I'm always early. If you're not early, you're late. That's what I say. Psych, I'm always late, and that's okay. I'm always late, right? That's been a thing since I was younger. My family is always like, yeah, 10 minutes late is on time. Excuse me. I just realized his pants, I never drew this. He's got this gold on the side of his leg. I definitely need to. So when I was drawing him, he has not enough detail in his lower half, and it looked bad. So now I can do that, and this little bit of filigree, not filigree, but like movement in the shoe. Okay, so anyway, I'm late always, and my girlfriend, her and her family are like the most timely people ever. She has one brother who will get places early and like wait outside or drive around to eventually make his way inside on time. Like, I'm not that kind of person. Not at all. And I don't really plan on ever being that kind of person. And that's okay. But it is hard then when we're kind of polar opposites with that, where they're super early and on time. And, you know, here's me scooting around. But I try. I do my best. I've gotten better. But no, so for me, being on time here is pretty solid. I'm happy with that. So I switched over to the iPad. I don't have my iPad plugged in at the moment, so bear with me with the no signal image. My girlfriend was watching one of the streams earlier this week or last week, I don't remember, and she's like, Britton, you lost signal at one point. And I was like, what? I lost signal. Like, I thought like the whole stream dropped or something, and I messed up. And I was like, oh, you mean the thing that says no signal? That's just me not having the iPad plugged in just yet. I shouldn't really switch to the scene realistically until the iPad is plugged in. But it's kind of awkward to use my keyboard and mouse once I have this whole setup. So it's easier for me to just do it this way. So you guys can see my beautiful no signal screen for, you know, a couple minutes or a minute or two as I get this set up. Again, it's no Cintiq being just right there, but I have enjoyed the idea. So, for example, last night, after she went to bed, it was my time, right? I was like, cool, I'm going to maybe play some Marvel Rivals because I didn't get to yesterday. I really wanted to play some Marvel Rivals, but I also really wanted to get further along with this Magneto, and it was kind of driving me crazy that he was not where I wanted him to be yet. And really, I didn't want to be sitting here forever on stream. I wanted him done, right? I wanted to guarantee he was done today. No lollygagging. So instead, I grabbed the iPad and drew downstairs then some more, which goes great. You know, better than if it was on a Cintiq, because then I'd have to be in the office doing stuff. Where here, I just chilled on the couch after dinner and stuff, and like after she went to bed, and I had like my late night snack of kettle corn and stuff like that. And then boom, I drew some more. So here we have pretty much what I came up with to finish a lot of stuff yesterday on good old King Magnus here. I'm not in love with the style, right? Something about it still isn't hitting for me. However, it's better. And it's funny because I'm looking at this now with seemingly like quote unquote fresh eyes, right? I did this last night when I was like really sleepy. And so there's a lot of times I'll do stuff on my iPad late at night, like 1 in the morning, right? It's 1:30, 2 o'clock, right? I finish this up at like 2 in the morning. my extra little bits I was doing for this. And it's like a present then when I wake up and actually look at it now, because I had no idea what I was looking at. I was like, I guess we'll judge it when I check it on stream and see if it looks good, because I don't like sleepy self doing art, and that it's random. It might look great, it might not. Sometimes I'll like wake up and go back to what I was doing, and I was like, what monster? What happened to me while I was sleeping? And then other times I'm like, oh my God, sleeping Britton is a genius, you know, like super hit or miss. And so I know I had played, so just to kind of recap what I did, I colored a little bit different, right? So I added some more color, or less, I desaturated his greens. So they were feeling a little too prominent, the green. And I didn't like that for his like base outfit. I still want, they're still green, right? Still has green to it, but it definitely felt a little too much. So I tweaked that a little bit. I went through and detailed all of these like metal bits and bobs. I did a lot more like of my messy shading. I went through and painted all around, heavier shadows throughout. I added this like, I made it like a soft off-white background, and then this bluish color block behind him, just to have something behind him to stand out. I like doing that. Like if we look at like some of, like I was doing like a bunch of X-Men pieces a while ago, and my Apple Pencil is not registering right now. That's not good. Uh-oh. I keep using my hand and it's not registering. Let me resync it. And that's the problem when you put these little grips on, it unsync, or it you can't sync it properly because there's no magnet. Okay. Is this better? There we go. Now we're okay. Luckily, I actually have a second pencil as a backup that one of my best friends gave me, because he is fancy and got the new iPad. And he's like, I don't need this garbage anymore. And I said, I use that garbage still. Thank you. You're too kind. So luckily, I actually have one up here and one downstairs. So I can keep this one up here, and the other one is downstairs. But anyway, so even if this farted out, I still had a backup. But no, like these little guys here, like this Colossus, Cyclops, even Wicket here, and Sabretooth, like I like the idea of having some sort of break, right? I don't need a background, but I need something. Did it with Arcane here. Like it's an easy way to apply something. And I like the look of it, because then you can like, I quickly erase around it. It keeps that etchy feel. I gave it like a basic halftone pattern behind there to give it a little bit of texture. I did go through and give him, if you notice, there's like a light purple halftone going through him, and a very, very general halftone going on his body itself, just to give like some texture. Nothing too much, but a little bit. And then I went through and refined the idea of this white outline to kind of really round him out and feel like there's something going on there. But then what I feel like goes a long way usually is stuff like this. So what I do is I do overlays of gradients. So you've got, this was the normal, right? This is how it looks. This is flat. It doesn't attract the eye anywhere. So what I like to do is do a gradient from black to white. I do that. You do that with 3D characters in particular, and it really helps push the eye. So we see this, our eyes almost look at the legs more than we should. But if you do this, add a gradient slightly to it, paint one on, now suddenly the movement goes from bottom to top. Do we see that? So the bottom gets darker and the top gets a little lighter, and it helps make it feel more grounded, because naturally, usually, that's how we're lit, right? Like usually light source is coming from above. So when you look at a human, generally their lower half is going to be more in shadow anyway. Not like deep shadow, but still something. And so playing with that does really help. But in that same token, I added ever so slightly, like I said, that halftone pattern, that little purple halftone, I added the halftone over his body then, just very slight texture. But then to even further push where the light is coming from, I've done a lot of messy, hard shadows, right, and highlights. But then this little bit if we look at his upper body at his arm, just an ever so slightly soft glow on it, so that the eye is actually pulled and moved around a little better. So we're not just looking at one point where like the legs stand out or this, so that like everything kind of has a slight different feel. So everything is like lit a little different. So we go from dark from the bottom to lighter to his face, but then it brightens the most at his hand. So the eye actually has a place to travel rather than just kind of be confused and not know where to look. Because sometimes you'll look and just see everything. I just realized as I'm blabbing, I still hear the background music for Marvel Rivals. And I was like, what is that sound right now? I cannot, that's all I can hear. So I'm gonna go back because I don't even notice at this point the difference because I just keep playing it. But I'm just gonna do some basic lo-fi for the background. Go into yeah, this is just a mix made for me based off of all the other stuff I've listened to of theirs. So let's see how it sounds. Just some lo-fi background. Nothing too intense, as usual. And then on the VODs, as I'm saying this, if you're on the VODs, you won't even know that it was there. Play your own music. I'll make my own paper company. Sorry, I forgot to turn off a few things on my phone. So when I finished this last night, I told myself I would take another peek at it, right, this morning, and then judge what needs to be done. And I think one of the main things now that I can address is this gold pattern. So I never drew this. So I definitely need to do something with that though. So despite having all of these layers that add nice like finishing detail to him, more presentable, I like to turn them off then until I'm ready to be done kind of, or at least get a better view of it because it throws off. Like if I'm color picking, if I'm drawing stuff on there, it throws off like the base. So I like to work from the base and then re-add things atop it. And so here's a better view, by the way. Like if I turn on this white outline that I did, that kind of just like really trying to play with the Marvel Rivals idea, but not overly, you know, where they've got that hard white. I was debating doing something almost to contrast that even more and do like a red, like something along the lines of like I'm probably not going to. But this, like, I had a thought of it, and I don't think it would look good. But sometimes doing like a counter to that, right? This is loose as F. But like, then it becomes too much rim light and hard lights. But what you could do then to counter it would be something like I did with the shadows already, right? So if we have, now I'm just talking out loud, but not really doing functionally. Since we already have that gradient though, right? What if you could do something like this? It's not, I don't think it'll work in this piece, but sometimes to counter like these hard highlights I built in with these whites, his color is like purple, right? This purplish red. I do like this color. So we can actually just say, screw it. What if we just pull kind of one of these colors? And I have like a big old soft brush, right? It's just a big soft brush. And you could then balance it the other way. So if the light's coming from the right with this hard white, giving some sort of like, almost like a side gradient. So this left side has a little bit in shadow. Do we see that difference? I think that kind of works actually. So in talking it out, I kind of like that. It's nothing crazy, right? But it's just enough. And that's what a lot of this stuff does, right? You're just giving like a final touch with a lot of the top layer to kind of adjust and confirm what we're looking at. So is this crazy? No, but it's a single brush stroke. That was one single stroke that adds a little bit more oomph to the shadows, I feel like. And you could probably even double up on it. Like if we wanted to do two, I could do a second one that maybe darkens this again. I don't think I'd like this, but like just saying things you could in theory do, right? You could always double down and make it even darker in spots. I don't like this personally because then it gets way too purpley, but like just saying that is something to play with. But something simple like that goes a long way, I think, to really round his shape out. But so we'll turn those off, like I said, for the moment. And then we're going to quickly reassess his design because his lower half, like I said, is kind of boring. And I didn't really realize that it's partially because I was missing. Oh, wait, never mind. He doesn't have it. It's just on the outer rim. Oh, I thought it was on both outer and inner. But there is like this green pinstripe going down the middle on the inside that we could maybe put in to give at least, it's like very boring looking. So I don't think realistically we would see gold, I guess, on this side, on the right side. And if we did, it would be so minimal. I don't think it's worth it to show, right? Sometimes we've talked about this where just because it would technically be there doesn't necessarily mean you have to show it being there. I wish there was a way to allude to it though, but that was a mistake on mine on the design portion of this, because if I had given a little bit of twist more to the leg, you could argue it, but it doesn't, because realistically, if just to show what I'm talking about, in case it's not clear as I'm speaking, like something here. But like maybe we can get away with it actually with just at least part of it. We'll see. Again, always over tune it, and then if it doesn't work, you just pull it back. So we'll see. I don't know how much I like that. It starts to, well, let's look at it with all the other stuff then on it. Yeah, I don't know if that reads as well as I'd like it to. I wish we could. I can't think of an efficient way to include that gold stripe coming down his leg. I wish there was a way. Could we just like quickly like make it disappear like it's coming down like this? Just because I feel like it should have something to represent that design of his. It's a hard one to mix, I feel like. It sucks when you design something in such a way that like, oh, I need to fake this to look cool. But how do I do that? Like this, too thick. And then if you make it so small, is it worth it? Like, is it worth your time? And is it worth the viewers, like, mind to see that there's a difference? You know what I mean? Like, is it worth their eyes? Like, is it pulling attention in a way that's worth it? Or is it just there because you, as the artist, wanted to include it, you know? So I kind of don't hate just a little bit of alluding to it. So I wonder if we do that and then just slap on, give us just the liner brush, blacken it up. And then we literally just give a little hint that there was like actual pattern here. And then we can go back to turn all those bad boys off. Quickly, just nothing crazy right here, just to kind of give a vibe that there is something with some sort of pattern or some sort of shape here, right? So if we just add a little bit of shadow. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It gives at least some variation to this leg. And I think if we do now the little pinstripe too on the inside, I know it's one of the more green ones, but I wonder if we play with it being instead one of these. Are we on the right layer? We are. So if we do something like, how far? It comes from the groin right down the middle. So like, I think we would see it like this, right? Something like that. I don't know if I like the top part. I'm not quite sure where it would, like how much we would see it. I think we would see it, but again, it's hard to design in such a way after I've already. So I'm going to do this part though, because I like this. This is easy. Just like play with the folds so you can do some fun curves. So the idea is this color is just kind of folding along with the leg, right? The folds, but that's, okay, so this is where I'm not sure where, I know logistically how it would look, but it doesn't look pretty when I do it that way. I'm trying to see the best way to trick us. And then do we do the same, kind of give it the same treatment here where we'll see it a moment and then it's gone? I don't know. I don't know. I like the idea of giving this more oomph, but it's not doing it. It is hard because we are at that point now where I need to be careful not to noodle, right? It's close enough to being done, so I don't want to be like overly zealous with these little changes. But I do like the idea of having like a little bit of color to these seams just to make them pop a little better, right? So like give these seams some sort, just a little bit of attention. I don't really like what I did here, but it's too lumpy. So just a little bit of seam. So what I'm going to do now, though, to let this sit a little better, what if I do a darker green, have the fill brush, then let's drop the opacity a little bit on it. So basically what we're doing is we're trying to blend without blending, right? Like we're blending. Thank you. I'm glad it's looking awesome. I took, like I said earlier, quite a bit of time last night. I didn't end up playing games like I had hoped and stayed up way too late working on this bad boy. But so the idea of what I'm doing here is since I added this blue, it stands out a lot, but I want it to kind of stand out as like a stylized little seam. But I don't like the curve of this. But what I'll do down here is I have a green now, and this green is going to function kind of as like a little bit of a blend, right? Because if we zoom in real close, then I picked a color that is kind of in between, right? It's not quite this like deep, like sage green, right? Drab more. And it's not this like tealish color I used either. But what that'll do then is it'll kind of, at a distance, look like it's softening that transition. I don't want to like paint in. I don't want to do like crazy amounts of like blending. I just want to kind of sell it without having to do more, right? And I think something like that goes a long way. Just that quick little bit of extra color. When zoomed in, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks kind of odd, to be honest. But when you zoom out, it makes more sense then. Because it just makes the color read a little better by giving it some sort of breathing room to transition. And so it's less stark. So again, I'm not super sold on these pinstripe things, but I kind of like the idea that there's a little bit more brightness and something to him. That said, I do want to change this because I do not like it. But unfortunately, I forgot. Since it's all one layer, right? I think I've really been practicing with that with this piece, and I'm proud of how it's coming out for being as messy as it is for me. So, but no, so that curve felt weird to me. I kind of want it to. Oh, it's too fat of a brush. Okay, that kind of works. The little zigzag extra fold here. Looks like it'll be coming up through the armpit. And then we can technically, let's see, does it look okay to do something like this still? Or is this going to look stupid? Like to follow the idea that this is the seam, right? This is a seam going all the way through his shirt and his design here, just to give some extra flare of color too, right? Like, again, did we need this? 100% no. Can it help sell a little bit more shape to him? Yep. And that's all we're trying to do. We're just selling that little bit of extra little power of design. So let's grab that greenish color again. This is hard because I actually took this green and I had it at a low opacity. So talk about being messy. This is not going to be the exact same green. It's okay, but it's going to be close. I hope you're enjoying your time, Orco Power, whatever you may be doing. I didn't realize you'd be on stream today. Hope you're having a good day. How do I decide when I'm done with a piece? That is a question for the ages, and I think that is Orco Power being nice, trying to say, hey, shouldn't you be done? Shouldn't you be done by now? You're taking a long time. Yeah, I am taking a long time, and that's what I do because I have a problem. No, that's an ongoing problem with almost every artist I know, that knowing when you're done or knowing when to say you're done is very difficult because you always have an idea. I feel like nothing ever feels done because I'm like, wait, what about this? What about this? What about this? And you keep wanting to do it. And that's the nature of art, that like you keep thinking of stuff, right? So even when I was falling asleep last night, my brain was still trying to think of ideas because you are invested in the piece. Your brain is becoming part of this, right? I've been looking at this on stream now with you guys for how long, that your brain gets too invested. And I think that's the hardest thing. It's a mix of confidence and just knowing when to say, F it, like we're done. Very difficult to do. I have a hard time with it, as you can tell by the fact that none of these pieces have been finished, like at all. But the bright side is this one will be done today. So how will I know it's done? I don't know. But I know when I sign off today, this will be done for darn sure. It better. I took all that time last night. I didn't get to play Rivals. I didn't do anything. So in my brain, I'm like, this sucker is going to be done. Whether it is or it's not, I'm saying it's done kind of thing. Come 12:30, 1 o'clock or whatever. Hopefully sooner than that, honestly, because I don't think it needs that much more time, but I say that, and then, of course, it'll be. Thank you. Yes, it does. It is hard because when you do noodle, sometimes it gets worse. And that's the worst. If you're noodling and you're like, oh, this doesn't even look good. It looks worse each time. But it is hard when each time you have an idea, it kind of works, right? And it's like, well, shoot, if it's working, what if I have another idea that works pretty well too? And you want to do more, and you want to do more, and you want to do more. So it's definitely a fine line of understanding that. And I think it comes down to just the point of saying, like, do I like it enough? And is it overly done now? Like, right now I'm adding a little bit, ever so slight highlights on his greens, just a little. But like, it gets to the point of like, I don't want to do too much, because then will that change the style of what I'm trying to accomplish, right? Too many colors. And I think that's the biggest part, is when it changes the design too much. Suddenly, if you feel like, okay, this is getting further from where I wanted to be, like design wise and like style, that's when it's like, okay, bud, you need to slow your roll. You need to stop this. Like, it's too much. So that's why right now I'm not adding too much of this highlight stuff. But like, I do, since this is messy, I'm leaning in today and this week in general, just being messy, right? I'm just slapping colors on when I think they'll look good. And if they don't look good, they don't look good. But I feel like this is going to be a good learning piece for me. And I'm hoping I can like pull away from stuff, right? So if you take a while to do certain things, then you learn what worked, what didn't work. And then you can always come back at it and then learn for the next time. So next time I do something, it'll hopefully be a faster process, or I'll have learned from it because of that, you know? I say that and then watch. I can guarantee next week I'm going to be like, oh gosh darn it, I'm so slow. I think the only thing that's really, so his face still kind of bothers me. I still have not really fallen in love with his face, but I don't know how to fix it. And that's one where I feel like that'll take me way longer to decide what needs to be done. And so I'm just kind of, I don't know what happened here. This looks real gross and messy, his hair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what to do with his head. Because I don't, something about it just doesn't read to me since the beginning. It's one where I've not really tried to mess with it because I don't know what to do. Like, it doesn't look, like when I zoom in, it's like, oh, it looks good enough. How are we looking if we add all of our extra layers back on for finishing touches energy? That's pretty heavy, this color, actually. I wonder if we tone this side shadow, the purple that we added in, 100% feels a little much. If we drop it to something like that, maybe, to round him out more organically, I think that could work. And even like this gradient, like this is 100%. We've got it pretty low. Like, I only had it at 25%. And so I wonder, oops, did I change the blending mode of it on accident? I did. I lessened it even more, that overall gradient. I wonder if it's his expression. I think it's his mouth, maybe. Oh no. I'll give it, maybe once I'm all said and done. So I feel like this needs, I've got like these weird like etchy contours everywhere. I kind of want something here to balance. I know it's funny that like it looks like they're just like accidental lines left, right? But with art, usually there's no accident. I mean, there's happy accidents, but like stuff like this that's looks messy, it's usually kind of still purposeful, right? There's some sort of logic behind it. I feel like I just want to shadow the loafers a little bit more because they're just looking too bright. So what I'm going to do is just grab a super basic fill brush here. I'm just going to darken the heck out of these shoes. I feel like they're drawing too much attention than I want. So let's zoom out and see. So it's tough with Procreate. So on Photoshop, you have what's called the navigator, and it's like a little square on the top corner. I keep mine on the top right corner. And what it does is it's basically a thumbnail. It's a built-in thumbnail of the image, essentially. So you can use that to like zoom and pan and do all that kind of stuff. But I always use it as just like a quick way to see it fully zoomed out, right? So like as I'm painting, so let's say I zoom in on here to get a better visual, I could look up top and I'd still see the thumbnail, right? So I could see like, okay, if I make a big stroke like this, does that look bad, right? I can't tell this zoomed in, like how well that reads overall. And so, again, I know I complain about Procreate quite a bit. And it's just because I wish they were better. Like, it's like when you've got like a friend or a family member and you want them to succeed, right? You are like, I really care about you and I care about your success. But these things you're doing, you're so close to greatness. If only you would do this or do that, you know, like you want to see them succeed, but they're like, it's just not quite there for what you want or for what they should be doing or finding their success. And that's kind of what I feel with Procreate, where I'm like, you guys are so close. You're on the cusp. And they felt like they were going to rule the world, right? Like they had this energy when they first came out. It was so good. Everybody loved Procreate. Everyone still loves Procreate. I'm not saying it's bad, but then they didn't innovate anymore. They kind of stopped. Like we were getting regular updates, stuff that really felt impactful and changed the way you could, your workflow and stuff. And when they introduced Procreate Dreams, I was unbelievably excited. As a traditionally trained animator, that's what I have a master's in animation. Like I do know a thing or two about animating. And yet it didn't, Procreate Dreams just wasn't there either. And it felt like I almost wish they would have just put that focus, oopsies, on Procreate proper then, right? Like don't extend yourself too thin if you have a lot of room to improve on that base product. And especially because like it's not like they weren't successful. It's not like they needed to bump up their market share. Like they still are like a premier name in iPad landscape, but also just the creative landscape. Like everybody knows what Procreate is. I almost every single artist I know has an iPad and they've got Procreate on it. I've got one of my good buddies, he's got an iPad with Procreate on it. Is he a professional artist? Nope. Does he like to draw on it? Yep. Do I absolutely love the fact that it helps put in people's hands for an unbelievably affordable price the ability to create? Yeah, I can't. That speaks volumes, right? But as a professional, I still have room to complain. Like that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know what I mean? That like at the end of the day, if we're using it for professional work, I still feel like I have a bone to pick that like you guys really just need to add like group masking or like group clipping masks or better selection tools or actual gradients. Like this gradient that I said, if you look in the thumbnail like of the layer, I just painted that. I just took black and then I took white and then I blurred the middle. It's fine. It's not like that's hard to do. But in almost every other software, you can just do that. You click a button essentially and say, hey, I want this color to this color. You can adjust the percentage. You can adjust all of that. Done. Oh, Procreate, you beautiful, beautiful Son of a gun. Okay. So I'm just kind of peeping any little thing now that I feel like before I'm going to maybe touch the face and then stop. And then I'd call it. I will call it at the face. I think the feet look better now that they look like they're not quite, they were like getting way too much of a focus because of that brightness of the shoe. If anything, I think I could even darken them just a smidge more, like the actual base color itself. So let's do that. Even this color, let's give it a little more. Let's see what this looks like. Again, I'll do this and then zoom out. It's messy, and it's this type of like a texture to the shoe. So what if I just kind of like purposefully leave these edges, right? To let it kind of breathe. Yeah. And then if anything, we could play with that and really just leave more of it on this shoe, since this shoe is more in the light on that side. Look at that. Look at that. I'm okay being messy. Who is this guy? And one other thing now, I feel like the highlights, these white colors I've got painted on, are a little too white. Like just a little bit. And I don't know. Okay, I painted some of these on this layer and some of them not. Stupid. So let's get rid of this. And instead of making them white, I would like to play with them being actual just highlights of that color. So like this, I would like to just take that light beige and make it a little brighter. Having it like a stark white competes then with the white of these outlines. So then that's too much, right? It makes, like we said before, if everything is special, nothing is special. And so like if the outline, this rim light is white, and then so is are these like stark shine pieces, then each one competes. So like here, this is not too different, but it's different enough that it doesn't feel quite as intense. Let's do the same for the gems up here. So I still want them like a bright ruby, but having them white feels a little too much. Didn't even color half of these. That's okay. It's a really big brush. Okay, let's lighten them even a smidge more. On at least the big ones. The small ones can have that lighter or less intense one. So let's add like a little bit of dots to that. And then what I want to do is, I think I overdid the line work on them when I etched in. So if we quickly erase some of these, and by the line work on them, I mean the shine bits, right? These are really kind of obnoxiously strong and thick. And if the whole point of it's supposed to be a highlight, let's actually just erase it and see what it looks like without any. What if we then just give it like a little hint of highlight? I feel like either no outline to the highlight or some outline. I don't like no outline, actually. It just reads a little better. So we can go in and fix those colors real quick. We can add a little bit of, this didn't feel very round. So rounding these out just a little with some hatching. Same here. He's getting a little too lit, I feel like. Again, my cross hatching is an afterthought on this piece. And so again, talk about a learning process. I will be much more deliberate with my directions of cross-hatching, so it feels more cohesive in the end. But okay, so now I can go back in. Oh, I forgot about these guys then too, right? So these shines are just too much attention is drawn to them when I have the outlines still there. But if you get rid of the outlines of it, I feel like that helps it not look as obnoxious. So I guess it's one of those things where it just depends on how you end up painting a thing will dictate how you want to color it. So in this instance, I'm painting it differently than I had planned originally. And so I need to course correct. And now that we can, let's give it like an extra curve. So it feels like rounded on the conforming to the shape more of the shoe. So we can see that it's like a highlight on the curve, right? Because obviously shoes are not flat. Feels a little large now. Okay, cool. And now we need to clean up these little gemeralds. Rubies. Oh, and then it didn't. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can't even follow my own rules right now of what I'm doing. Okay, so I think we're pretty much at a spot where I can quickly peek at the head now and figure out what I didn't like about it. And then finish up. Hopefully the face is not an hour-long endeavor, but you know me. Probably will be. But either way, it'll be done soon enough. I promise. This I promise you. Oops, that is not the color I thought I had picked. Man, I did not look at the weather for today, but it is a day that it did not snow for once. So, is it snowy still? That's how weather works. But is it snowing? Nope. And that's pretty darn cool with me. Too many snowing walks lately, and I don't want them anymore. Don't want them. You can take them back. Take it. It's yours. Okay, so now let's slap back on all of our beautiful top level pieces. He looks fine. It's still, like I said, his face just feels like it's getting obscured and lost to me. I did notice one thing. I know I keep going back and forth. I forgot I wanted to give at least a little bit of highlight on the M here. There was like nothing. The M for Fear Magneto. In the game, that's what he like announces when he's doing his ultimate. And it sounds pretty cool, especially in his voice. Like, it's dope. Cool. So how do I want to fix his face? Any ideas? Hello, Panda Russell. How you doing? Not too bad. Just trying to get all of this situated so I can finally say it's done. This is a piece I've been working on now for almost this whole week, and the whole point of the practice was to go quicker, and yet somehow quicker is not something that happened, and that's okay. So long as we're done by the end of the day, I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be happy with it then. That's my little goal. And right now, frankly, it's pretty much there. If I just keep taking a peek at it with all the finishing touches, I think I really just want to fix the face. Fix your face. Just say it to like a little kid when they're like looking disgusted or whatever. Fix your face. Yeah, I'm not. I need to like keep stepping away and thinking of why his face is not hitting for me. Like, it doesn't look bad. Again, I don't mind the way his face is drawn. It's one of those things where like I feel like it could be better and read better, and I've avoided messing with it since basically I initially sketched it out. I wonder if it is. Ooh, goodness. I feel like it's maybe the eyebrow. Would that help? Is that a thing? Maybe it's the eyebrow. Hopefully it's the eyebrow. Maybe. I don't know. Whoopsies. Phone is going off and I didn't realize. My bad. Trying to get this quiet again. Whoopsies. Okay, my bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so I think maybe it's this expression. Like, I know I want him having that like raised brow a little bit, but I wonder if it's too much. So I'm gonna mess with it and break it real quick, and I've got the backup in case I need to abort, you know, like go back. So we've got everything Sketchliner set up. Let's just, again, just for my own edification, let's break his eyebrow and see if there's something we can do that sells this a little more cleanly. That looks kind of funny. Because this one already still has like a little bit of like raise to it. So I wonder if we double down and this one is the straight brow. But now I feel like he's looking very Cro-Magnon and very like caveman-y. Again, what, Panda? That is definitely not doing it for me. Oh, my brain read that actually as again, but like I assume in my head I'm just the nerd who has way too much Marvel Rivals time. That's funny. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I don't know if you've seen the leaked skin with where he's like a vampire hunter energy, the new Bucky skin. He looks pretty cool. Somebody I know in the comments said the new skin reminded them of like a mix between Dante and Virgil from Devil May Cry, and I totally see it. And I'm cool with that because I love old Devil May Cry. It looks clean. I unfortunately bought his other skin though, I can't remember which one it is, the one where it's got like the little cape on the side. I already bought that one and I was like, oh, I wish I could refund it because now I just want to use whatever that one's going to be when it comes out. Which, funny story about Devil May Cry, that it ages me and it makes me feel old when I think of this story. But so oh yeah, that Wolverine skin that looks like Van Helsing in the Battle Pass. Oof. I don't play Wolverine, but that like it's cool because they make me want to play those characters, right? When they give you these cool skins, I'm like, I could play them now. Like, this looks too cool. But no, in terms of Devil May Cry, this will age the heck out of me. But I'm the oldest, right? So I've got two younger siblings. My sisters are, notice there's a big age gap between me and them. And they would always, my parents loved taking them to a water park in Wisconsin. I'm from the Midwest, so like going up to Wisconsin to water parks was like a normal thing. I hated it though. I was like 15 years old and I was like, I don't want to go to these stupid water parks on my vacation. Like if it was like President's Day or some sort of vacation, right? Like, you know, like a day off of school. And I always hated going to them. Frustrated me. I felt like I was a waste of time. I was like, I don't want to go to these stupid things. And so I had, it was an old tube TV. It was like the TV VHS combo. And it was like that massive hunky thing that had like all these straps, all this stuff. And we would wrap it in between the two front seats of our family van. And so it would be this little TV that then the kids could watch. Like we had like, you know, different Disney movies and stuff like that we'd play. And so we would be able to watch, the kids especially would be able to watch movies. Again, way before tablets and way before that kind of stuff. And I remember I brought my PS2. And I was like, I am going to Jimmy rig this stupid mess, right? You had the same thing. I feel like that was like a staple, like growing up in the 90s, like, and it was a cool symbol. You're like, oh, we're cool. We've got a TV in our car. But like looking back, it's so comical that like, oh yeah, I have a TV in my pocket now. Like, oh yeah, I could see that. I know my little sister would. She gets motion sickness real bad. And so we learned that actually with that TV. We learned about her motion sickness. But so I remember at night, they went to like the water park that night and I was like, I'm taking this stupid TV out. So I unhooked the TV. It was way more convoluted of a process to like wrap it along the center console and stuff. So I took apart like the mechanism and I brought that little TV into the hotel room. I put it on the bed and I like plugged that sucker in. I plugged my PS2 in, which keep in mind the PS2 is basically larger than this TV. And I remember popping in Devil May Cry 2 and just laying there on my belly on that bed, playing Devil May Cry 2, just being like, I don't even care. Yeah, it had the oh my God, the auxiliary ports, what were they? The red, white, and yellow ports, right? You just plugged it in. It had that on the front of the TV. And I remember, boom, PS2 didn't have like an HDMI or anything. And yeah, so one of my most fond memories of Devil May Cry is laying on a hotel bed while my siblings were at a water park. And I'm just sitting inside the hotel playing Devil May Cry. Got to do what you got to do, man. You know, like it worked and I had a fun time and I didn't end up having to go to the water park part, you know? I probably did at some point, but not that night. And I remember my parents came back and they're like, what the hell did you? I was like, it's fine. I'm having fun. Leave me alone. Don't ruin this for me. Yeah, it's funny the difference in like ingenuity you had to have back then. Like I had to Jimmy rig weird stuff to do all of that, where now it's like I would tell somebody now and they'd be like, why didn't you just bring a Steam Deck or a Switch or this or that? Or why didn't you just play it on your phone even? And I'm like, that's not how things worked back then, okay? We made do with what we had. And I was super fortunate. Like, and I'm sure you were too. You know, the idea, like I said, having a TV in the car was pretty dope. Like, even if it was a jank setup, it was still a cool thing to have. And it felt like a prestigious, you know, like, ooh, we're so fancy. And so I am not happy with his face at all still. Not quite sure. Again, part of it's the noodle syndrome where I'm almost done. And so my brain goes, fix random things, fix them, make them better, do the thing. And I'm like, no, just let me be done, brain. But my brain just says, hey, how about you shut up? You're backseating right now. Let us annoy you and try and say everything is wrong, even though you just want to be done. Oh gosh, you used PCs for LAN parties? Oh, that's more impressive when I hear people did that. Like, I fortunately, well, unfortunately. Oh, a monitor. Okay. I thought you meant the PC itself. I was like, dang, we only like my LAN parties were on like the OG Xbox. Like, and I'm assuming that's probably what you were talking about too then. But yeah, we had the same thing. Like, we had one of my good buddies back in high school, his house was set up where you know those houses that have like little second stories, like really little, like the ceilings are slanted and it's really tight in there. That's what his second story was at his house, at his family's house. And he had one room and his older sister had the other, right on like each end. So it was just like literally a triangle, and one room was his, one room was hers, and there was like a little bathroom in between. And we would always plan it where his sister was gonna go out, like hang out with friends that night or stay the night at one of her friends and stuff. And we would do a LAN party at his house then, and we'd get pizza, do the normal thing. But we would, fortunately then, because his sister had like a 32-inch TV in her room, right? And so did my friend at the time, Nathan, and we would literally just post up and we would like yell at each other in the hallway. We'd all be like in his room, we'd all have like, because he had like those like gaming chair things, like the little rocker chairs and stuff like that. And then in his sister's room, we would just be like all like butt to butt, like next to each other on her bed at the foot of the bed and just shouting at each other, because then you could easily, it wasn't like a full-on LAN party then, but it would at least be 4v4. We would do that with Call of Duty 2, I think we did most, and Halo 3, and we would just go play that way. But it was so fun, the idea of just like shouting at each other down the hall, not even down the hall, like a doorway across. Yeah, talk about relics of the past that I feel like I love playing with my friends online. Oh gosh, on just one monitor? Or did you mean like each person had one monitor? All on this, yeah. Me and my cousin would play Goldeneye, and that was this. Stop screen peeking! Stop screen peeking! Gosh, what a thing of the past now. No screen peeking. Just you got your own screen, you got your own thing. And Magneto's looking like sad now. I don't know what I'm doing. Like actually like sad, like he's about to cry. It's okay, Magneto. We fear you. We fear Magneto. You shouldn't be crying. Fear Magneto. That was always rough if you had like that was like with fighting games with me and my friends, because like I feel like there's always one friend who's better at a game, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Even if you all play it, there's always like one of the friends who's clearly the better one, or knows like the little things that won't tell the other friends and stuff. And that's kind of how we had it. And it was always, usually it was me and my one other buddy. There was like 8 of us usually. And it was always me and my other buddy. And they would not, like, it was like a general rule that we weren't allowed to be on the team together ever. Because like we couldn't be in the same room. It was always like, no, Britton, you need to be in Melissa's room. Austin's going in Nathan's. You guys can't be in the same room together. You guys aren't on the same team. It's not fun. And so that was like the rule, that it wouldn't be fair. We were too powerful, right? Too strong for our own good, that we couldn't be on the same team. I am not sure what I want to do with. So here's his face now. Let's see what his face was comparatively. he had like a very quizzical brow versus like a, I don't know, I don't hate the quizzical brow though. But I mean, Magneto always just looks pissed, right? He's not quizzical. He doesn't question anything. He's just mad. He's an angry little elf. He's an angry little mutant, right? So maybe that helps. And I pulled in his cheek a little bit, if you notice. So maybe, yeah, maybe we'll work with this. Yeah, I think it looks good. Or at least better. Let's give a little bit more, old guy. Like, old guy, I say as I have them too. And that's like the strong bags under the eye to kind of sell the age. Since Magneto's pretty old. Pretty old. But yeah, I miss the LAN party stuff. Like that stuff, like in college, we would do that too. Oh man, so in college, I was an RA. I did all, whatever. But I worked with student activities, and we did a lot of collaboration stuff. And I ran every few months. It was a 2v2 tournament. So in the one building in our school, we had two different rooms, but we always would use the particular one where they had massive projectors, huge, like, a classroom projector. But for some reason, this classroom had one on or two on the same wall, but like right next to each other. So screen peeking was definitely a thing. Let me tell you, that was actually a problem because it was, how do you not screen peek a 70-inch projector next to you? But I would set up, I can't remember what I named it because it was basically a food drive then. So I made each event a food drive. So the entry fee was bringing in food that I would then donate. So by the end of the night, we'd have a giant table full of food that I'd go bring and donate. And I had the school sponsored the events. Right, there's something about playing on projectors that felt really cool. And so when I was able to do that for a bunch of people, right, like if you don't have permission, that's even more funny, I guess. If you don't have permission to play it, I fortunately, went through, oh gosh, during a lesson, that makes that even better. I don't think I can say that much. I know we definitely did for our events, but definitely not in class. I went to a school for biology, and it was, they were almost every teacher taught stuff, and they said, because the mindset was like, you all want to go to med school, that's the end goal. So we're going to teach it like you're already in med school. And I was always like, but I'm not in med school yet, man. Like, can you give me some slack? Don't be so intense. And then lo and behold, I got a master's in animation instead. And here I am doing this. What a turn of events. But yeah, so that classroom was dope and we would fill it, right? Like we'd have like 20 dudes. Yeah, there was no girls at the time would come. Not trying to be sexist in that. No girls ever came to those tournaments, except for one of the cops. We had one of the cops for the school would always come. Two of them actually, and they'd always just chill and watch and have fun, just hanging out there each night. But no, those were dope tournaments because they were Call of Duty tournaments at the time. I think it was like Call of Duty. I don't even know. I don't even know which Call of Duty it was at this point. I think it was Black Ops. I'm pretty sure they were Black Ops, the original Black Ops tournaments mostly. But like that was super fun. Having like 20 people in a room doing these massive tournaments that I'd run. It was pretty solid. I couldn't ask for something more fun, right? And it was really cool to get a bunch of people excited to, in college, sometimes the events aren't always necessarily geared for a lot of different people, right? Some people don't really get the school spirit, don't want to be involved or whatever, but like you give them the incentive of money because I would have the school sponsor it. So the winners would get like $50 gift cards, which I don't know, a billion years ago, a $50 gift card was a lot of money. I feel like who knows if it is today, but back then I felt like, whoo, $50? Hot damn. More than enough to almost buy a game at least. Now, who knows? But But no, that was just really fun. I really enjoyed that. And then at the end of the day, I also was able to donate a bunch of food and bring it. So it was a win, win, win for sure. I was I was having a good old time. And then now I couldn't tell you the last time I've played in person a video game. Like I get my girlfriend to play games with me. We joke, I'm like, you're such a gamer now. Like, but even then it's few and far between. We've got locals here in the Midwest that aren't too far from me for the fighting game scene. But it's on Wednesday, and Wednesdays are the nights that I get to. As you get older, it's harder to have time with friends. You know, when you all live far apart and whatnot. And so Wednesday is one of the days during the week that me and my best friends all get together online, not in person anymore, and play games online. And so it's definitely, it's like a toss up. Like, would I like to go to those locals to kind of chill with some other cool people I've met in the area, and realistically just get my butt kicked because I love fighting games, but I'm terrible at them. You can see behind me, I've got like my X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom cab there. It's not super lit, but like all in this room is fighting game everywhere. There's fighting game stuff everywhere. There's like Street Fighter, there's Guilty Gear, there's Tekken, there's all that kind of stuff at this wall. There's on my bodybuilding shelf, we've got like Goro and Zangief. Yeah, I love fighting games, but do I suck at them? Yes. I am not great, but I have so much fun with them. So it's a double-edged sword where like, man, I love playing fighting games. But then it's also like, oh man, I'd suck if I went and actually played against half of these young whippersnappers. But I definitely need to make my way out there at some point. Just for the sheer fact of, right, the 2XKO, right? That new game by Riot. Did you end up playing the Alpha Lab at all? I actually got into that and played that one. Yeah, that was fun. I love Alawi. So I'm sure if you've watched the footage, I love in fighting games either like super like mid-range zony or super grapple, right? Like I love that. So like in SF6, I like playing Ed and Zangief. I love a big body, right? They're so menacing. There's something about in a fighting game when you can dictate the flow of battle by moving, right? Like your movement scares them because being closer, you're going to grapple them. And you have such a threat in other ways that most characters don't at that range. And so Alawi was Zaku's tough. Oof. That's too big brain for me, right? I'm a like I just said, I'm a grappler. I like to grab and slam you and be happy. I SPD'd you for 1/3 of your health. Cool. It's the meme where like that's me just like chill, playing, having fun, and then there's the Zaku player like sweating, doing their thing. You guys, that's a whole other ball game, man. Looks dope though when you get some cool stuff in. Oh, you played that much before you even played your first game? That's commitment. I'm a big proponent of like trial by fire, right? Like I like to, I'll learn a little and then I'm just like, nah, put me in, coach. Let me lose. It's fine. I'll learn from my loss. And boy, are there a lot of loss. It is different in fighting games, yeah, where it's like you can go in, but then like you're not gonna learn enough, I guess. You're right. I mean, for me, it's usually like, hey, can I at least learn like a B and B, right? Like, do I know at least the elevator pitch for my character, right? Like, what do I need to do? Give me a B&B, give me an anti-air. You know, what are the supers? Obviously, like, that's important to know what your supers are. And at least that helps me at first. But you're right, it's definitely more difficult. Like in Rivals, like, I'll play a character in the training or practice range, whatever it's called, and then I'll play him for like 2 minutes, and then I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm hopping in casuals. Yeah, that is true. Like, because you can get bodied real quick and easy if you don't know what you're doing against someone in a fighting game. That is 100%. What's fun, though, is if you have a friend who also doesn't know a character, or you're just kind of grooving with them. So, like, I got my little sister to play Street Fighter with me for a while. And she likes all that kind of stuff, but she didn't end up sticking with it too much. But like, I had a lot of fun playing with her because I could try new characters. We could do different things, right? And there was like that threat of being like stomped on wasn't really there, right? Like you're just grooving, you're having fun. And if you get your butt kicked, you get your butt kicked, but it feels less of an issue because you're both kind of getting your own butts kicked, if that makes sense. Like a mutual self butt kicking when neither of you know what you're doing. So right now I'm really just trying to like looking at the picture as I'm just noodling around. I'm trying to just like maybe think if I put more of his face in like a heavy shadow, it'll help sell it too. Because I feel like a lot of his face was being too shown off. And I think that's kind of what made it feel weird. But I think now that he's like heavier in shadow, I kind of like where this looks. And I can slap the color back on in a second. But yeah, no, 2x KO, back to that. I'm very excited for that one. Just from like, if we look at Marvel Rivals, like as an artist, I love all these skins that we get, right? Visually, it is a treat, right? An absolute pleasure to look at everything. But Street Fighter, there's no treat there, right? We don't get squat. If you're keeping up with the new Street Fighter, like there's no skins. We don't get anything. So like, I'm sure 2x KO, like Riot's got a billion things to work with already. So I'm sure we're going to have such cool skins. They know how to build a community. They know what they're doing. And so I'm sure it's going to be expensive, to say the least. A free-to-play game that's going to be pricey because there's going to be so many cool things that you want. But it's just a stunning game. And I haven't played What do you mean by thought lines? A lot of thought lines in the splash arts. Oh, the script. Yeah. Like even like little things like how I have here. Like they do like a lot of this kind of stuff, even where it's like it breaks the border and does that kind of stuff. Like it has Rivals feels clean, but messy at the same time. And I think that's a hard thing to balance. Like a very hard thing to balance as I'm sitting here trying to do even remotely clean but messy at the same time. So how does this look? Okay. What if I just shadow his whole neck now? And just say, F it. Goodbye, neck. We don't even need to see you. That's a pretty heavy shadow, though. It's almost too... What if we then do, like... Just like a slight erase? But that's the weird part. Like, it's when you don't have line confidence and you scribble, but at the same time, I talked about it earlier, there's a weird balance of making something look like you are scribbly, but it's also like super intentional, right? Like, oh, that looks terrible. Like it's like, yeah, thought lines. I guess I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like it is so hard. Like the joke of like when like my girlfriend will give me crap like it's not fair you woke up and your hair looked good or this or that. And it's like, well, I'm not like, but it's more of like you have like, oh, you put in the work beforehand so that you make it look effortless. Like you make it look, it just works. And like that's kind of the idea. Like you put in work beforehand. And if you do it just right, it looks like it's messy, but it's clean. You know, like it's I don't know. It's a skill. It is a skill that they are absolutely fantastic at. I don't know what to do with his neck right here because I feel like putting it in shadow, it feels too dark for the rest of the scene here. But then putting it not fully, I don't know. I don't know. This is what happens when I'm like 98% done with something and then I just sit here for too long and not finish it. Probably me noodling because I just want to play the darn game. I didn't get a chance. I was going to play a little yesterday. I did not end up having time to do so. And now I just really... Okay, that having a little bit of illusion here actually looks fine. Just want to play. Who do you end up playing the most, Panda? Like if you were to able to pick right away, you know what I mean? Like not based on the team, not based on that. Like who's your go-to if you can? I usually play any tank. I love tanks. Tanks or healers. Those are like I feel like a good tank has almost more control, I feel like, of turning the tide. Okay, as a tank, I love a good rocket. Like a pocket rocket, you know what I mean? Like that's not, oh, okay, pocket rocket, that sounds inappropriate. But you know, like having a pocket healer as a rocket is great because rocket is so good at healing. And as a tank, you're one of my favorite people then. And but that's what I was saying that like as a DPS, I feel like sometimes you can do great, but if the tank and the healers are doing poopy, it kind of like a good TPS can only go so far. And I feel like a good strategist, if you can keep even a mediocre tank alive, it can usually do okay. But like in my experience, I'm like when I'm getting frustrated and we're not getting wins and stuff, I'm like, I need to just play tank. This is what I need. I feel like I have better control over even if I get poopy teammates, you know, like if I have bad teammates, but I'm playing Doctor Strange and I'm on top of it being able to, you know, contest point, push pressure, mitigate a ton of damage, block ults with my shield, you know, like get some portals in. Like I feel like then if I'm doing it well, I don't need to worry about the DPS because I'm doing my own thing and I don't have to too much worry about healers because if you're doing a great job as a tank, yes, you're taking damage, but you should also be mitigating it yourself a little bit. And even though Doctor Strange has like the smallest health pool of the tanks, I feel like he is still really good at survivability. Yeah, there's so much more fun to have with him. So like if I play like I like Mantis, right? Like when I play support, I'll play Mantis. She's really fun. But I'd rather play Invisible Woman because there's more expression there, right? Like you can do more things that feel fitted for how you want to play, like especially with her push and pull. But yeah, with Doctor Strange especially, like I love his melee. I love being like weirdly hyper aggressive and chasing people down as Strange or really getting like a good angle with my float and stuff like that. Like he's just he's a lot of fun to play and you're right. Like a lot of expression to that character in a great way. So right now I need to just since I redid his face, everything doesn't really line up anymore. So I need to kind of fix that. Oh yeah, yeah, the balance between just that melee, uh, whatever his like little shotgun blast is, it does a lot of damage. Like I feel like it is underappreciated just how much damage Doctor Strange can do, like with just that, and then being able to throw in your shield in between there too if you need to quick block some damage, like, and then smacking your explosion, so satisfying. And usually don't it's not as expected, but yeah, definitely so much fun to play as him. I love, and then like with your portal, if you've got a team that's like more cohesive, yeah, he's got like DPS. I've gotten a lot of games that I do great with Strange, I end up just as much damage as the DPS on my team. Because I feel like that's the thing. Like, a good tank should kind of be doing it all. Like, not at all, but I mean, like, a good tank should be mitigating damage, but applying that pressure as well. I do love Groot, though, too. Like, speaking of my tanks, like, I'll usually play. Groot is actually my most played character right now in like the overall meta of the game, like between season 0 and now season 1. But like something about being able to trap people with those walls is so satisfying. And like when they think they're backing up and you slap that wall behind them and they didn't realize it and they just backed up into the wall as you throw your spore bomb and melee them and there's instant dead. Like that just that feels great on a whole other level, I feel like, as a group player. Yeah, I love the separating because then you're like, well, what are you gonna do? Like all of a sudden the healer maybe needs to focus on breaking the wall, but then the wall being broken is totally stopping them from healing anybody, even if they had line of sight. So he's definitely a fun expression one too, because you can definitely like I've seen like a bad group per se, um, use like the healing wall, right? Like you can use the healing wall to block stuff, but like personally, what I've always done is I place the wall as close as I can on the other side of a wall for the healing. Because it's like, okay, I'm gonna passively heal. You all don't bother with my healing wall. Don't touch it. That's for me, right? That's my special thing. And then I love setting up like choke points. So there's on Tokyo 2099, um, when you are defending the first point, there's like that little alcove, and I put the healing wall on the other side of the wall where they don't even see it, but I can still trigger my healing. And then I put one wall on the inner part that's like facing where they push, and then another wall up top. So they turn that corner, and I immediately place a wall behind them. 3 walls they're trapped by, and I'm healing from behind where they can't even see the healing tree. Boom. So fun. But yeah, the parkour bits are fun too. Like on the null map when you have to escort the null on offense. Like I love doing my angled walls just to get going on the right then so you can go mid, apply pressure, push up top right by doing your uh your parkour trees. Oh yeah, that would be a good idea. I don't think I've seen a rocket put one up there, but that makes sense. So long as they don't have an Iron Man or a Storm. I feel like it's weird how drastically different games feel when the other team does have flight though. Like a non-flight team versus a team with flight kind of feels not night and day, but like your gameplay approach is pretty different then. Especially talking as a tank where I'm like, man, I gotta play noticeably differently when I know there's someone who can rain hell from above. trying to put like a little bit of... I haven't been vibing with his face, so I'm just trying to give a little bit more love and attention to it, maybe with like some skin variation, some highlights, a little bit of something to make him feel better. I still just something about him. I just can't quite get the way I want. Which Magneto is one of these tanks who I actually don't even really know how to play Magneto. Like, he's one of the few tanks that, like, I just haven't touched. Because in my mind, he feels similar to Doctor Strange in that, like, he has more of a traditional tank kit, you know, with, you know, damage, big shield, you know, more traditional vibes. But in my mind, I'm like, I'd rather play Doctor Strange. So I haven't actually ever really touched Magneto. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but, you know, that's what I've been sticking with. One day I'll learn him. It's good. I mean, in any game like this, it's always good to know. The more you know, the better you can play against it. So it's not like I won't learn him eventually, but the game's still... I mean, the game is still pretty new. It's not even like... Is it 2 months old now? I don't even know how long it's been. It's not been that long, though. So in my mind, I'm like, I've got time. I've got time. I'll be playing this game for years, probably, at this rate. So I'm not, like, in any rush to have to know everything, but... I know the elevator pitch, right? Like, that's what I... Yeah, I've seen... Yeah, and just visually, like, we talk about visuals here a lot on my stream, that, like, him able to use that sword with Wanda, I don't even care if he does more damage. Look at that sword. Look at that big thing. Like, that's all I want. I don't care. I could be doing less damage, but you give me a massive sword to swing around. You sold me. I don't care. But yeah, no, I've seen a good comp with that can do some work. I've seen for sure. Like, jokes aside, it's a really slow melee, but I feel like it's because his is pretty good. But it feels very different than if you're playing Doctor Strange, because like we said, Doctor Strange has like such a... His melee is like, he might as well be he might as well be a melee character too, Doctor Strange. Yeah, Strange melee doesn't, like I said, feel like a tank even. It's like, this feels not fair. Because there's been times where, like, another Doctor Strange even, I'll just chase them down meleeing. Just hit them. Just keep hitting that tank with my own melee. And I don't even switch to my alternate fire or do any... Just smacking them. Oh, I do. I've seen his melee. One of my best buddies, he plays Iron Man all the time. Like, he is like an Iron Man guy. Like, if you saw his house and all of his stuff, like, he is a Tony Stark enthusiast, to say the least. And so when this game came out, he's like, I'm playing Iron Man. And then, like, that's all he'll play. Like, he started to play Squirrel Girl a little bit now. But oh yeah, I've seen the Iron Man, and as nerdy as it is, I'm pretty sure he has that as a pickaxe in Fortnite. The Iron Man, like his laser. It reminds me almost of like a super fancy oh my gosh, from Assassin's Creed. I know it's the wrist blade, but it has like the same energy to me of like that. It's like Iron Man's wrist blade. But you know, I still play Fortnite, man. I know it's one of those I've played Fortnite since before, and when it was an alpha, and I still cruise around with that. It's a game that, like, me and my friends, it's like, you don't have to be doing anything crazy. You can just be chilling, you know? Just chilling, playing the game. There's always something weird going on. Like, now we've got Godzilla, or now we've, you know, like, it's always something. And so long as now we've been balancing better, playing more games that I really wanted to play Rivals. So I'm like, we need to play Rivals more. Like, I can't just play Fortnite. Let me play other games. And I've been enjoying that then, because you can only do, I mean, that's just life in general, right? Like, you can't just keep doing the same thing. You're gonna get burnt out. You're gonna get bored of it. And so Same thing goes with games. I've been playing Fortnite since my gosh, I don't even remember when Fortnite first came out at this point. Is it 8 years now? Like, long time. Long time. And so it's like, I need to have some variety is the spice of life, right? And so I need a little bit. Give me a little variety. And Marvel Rivals is the perfect variety. Because who doesn't love? Like, everybody loves this game right now. Easy. Like, and if you don't love it, you crazy. Okay, so I'm still just playing with like pushing Magneto's face more and more into shadow on this side because I think maybe so what you do is you round out a face. So like his face felt flat, I think, and I think giving him a little bit more shadow on his right side is helping pop it more because he was feeling super flat. And a flat face just feels weird. And so in order to do that, usually like even like lighting here in my room, I have multiple like key lights, right, from Elgato. One is brighter, right, and one offsets because you kind of want the face to have some sort of shadow. Even here on mine, you've got a shadow, and you've always got this nice little triangle pop. Obviously, it's not super pronounced here on me. The only thing super pronounced is my weird like forehead horn that I have when light hits it. My skull is shaped weird. But that helps round out the face because you can see the shadow. The shadows are intriguing, not necessarily a bad thing. So I think that is what was missing with my Magneto was he was too flat feeling. And it didn't give him enough character then to breathe as like a rounded out clean face. But yeah. I never like I always knew I had this little thing until I started streaming now and now I've been like, "Oh my god. Who put is am I a descendant of a unicorn and I didn't know? Is that weird? Am I like part mythical beast? Did we have some sort of ancestry? I don't even know how that works. I don't want to know how that works because it's a horse." I know it's weird. I've seen people have like actual like indents and it's clearly it must just be like a weird skull thing. Because on my brow, I mean, if you can see the lighting, I've got a very prominent like brow in general. And so my brow is so strong, you would think that like the forehead would just be like a giant thing, but I think it's because like I don't even know. I don't know. It's weird. I don't like it. Can you see it? We've all got I feel like everyone's got like something weird with their body that they're not a fan of. And that's just life. The key is just to own it, right? Like who cares? That's part of us. No point in wishing for anything different. We work with what we got and we rock it. Confidence in my mind is key. So if I've got a weird horn on my forehead, own it. I'll get a tattoo just accentuating it. That wouldn't be weird at all, right? So I haven't really played too much with like soft brushes at all in this piece. It's all pretty much hard lines. But I'm trying to play with giving like Magneto's face at least a little bit of softness because then that'll help it set aside from the rest of the piece, right? To make it feel like it is actual like flesh, right? A softer tone. Everything else can be hard. But then his face has a little bit of softness to it. Not a lot, but just a little. I'm not giving Magneto a horn. That said, he's just having a normal forehead, not a Britain special. Oh, you've got that, like, that curve up there. I've seen skulls like that too, where it's got like not quite a point, but there's like a curvature to it. I've studied, like, in my lifetime now, I've studied anatomy pretty extensively with my studies and stuff, with school and my own personal work. And so it is cool looking at the weird differences that the human body can have, right? Like there's so many weird things that, like, it seems so weird, but it's like, if everybody has a weird thing, is it really weird? Like everyone's got something. So, oh gosh, God forbid if you go bald. I mean, again, you just rock it. You own it. If you've got if you've got a horn or you've got a mohawk, bait built into your skull, just own it. That's what I try and do. But yeah, no, it's easier said than done, or something like that. Speaking of a mohawk, as I'm looking at Magneto right here, I feel like his hair is going triangle head in real life too. Like he's got a little bit too much of a peak. I wonder if I flatten this out a little bit, as it's quite topical, I suppose. As we're speaking it, I'm like, you know what? Magneto's got that going on. Not that anything's wrong with it. Your triangle head is beautiful, I'm sure. But in the case of this illustration, let's try and flatten it out a little bit. Yeah, I did give him a big poof of hair, I guess. If we look at the actual thing in game, it's not, it goes up and then backwards actually a little bit, right? It recedes back. And where I just went full on poof. I don't hate it though. I don't think it looks bad. But definitely funny now looking at it that I definitely gave it a slight different energy. But I wonder if we can make it, maybe salvage it to look a little bit more like his hair. If we go like oh my God, my iPad's touch is definitely losing it. So it kind of freaks out at times, but like kind of like round to a hard edge then. So the hard edge implies like it goes up a little, but there's still not a lot of breathing room. It has to go even further. Boop, boop. This is an easy fix either way. Like, not to completely change it, but at least give it a little bit of like up and then back, right? Something like that more. And back. I'm saying this and I don't even know if it looks right. It's not bad. I love when I'm on stream and I'm like, yeah, it's easy. Just do it like this and it'll fix it. And then I do it and I'm like, oh, that didn't fix it. But I said it with confidence. I'm going to look like an idiot now. But that's the beauty of art. Like, just because in theory, anyway, that should be how it fixes it or looks better, doesn't necessarily mean it has to, or it's going to every time. Though it does make you look like an idiot then. And that's okay. I like to think it normalizes, right? Everybody makes mistakes, and there's no like, if you've got a beginner artist watching, saying things with too much confidence also feels weird. Like they know everything. I don't know squat. I know 10% more, and that's enough to make me good. Like, that's it. Kind of did help. I feel like the shape, it looks a little more like the concept now. Or not even concept, like the in-game model, kind of how his hair looks a little more straight up than poofing back instead of being so Yeah, I like that. It was getting too round, his hair, too. So this kind of gives some cleaner edges to it. I like it. I am getting nervous. I've not looked at the clock in a while, and I'm sure it's way later than I think. Yeah, always is. 12:45. So one thing to note for anybody else who's here too, that like, so I've been streaming Monday through Friday, doing my art mornings, every morning doing art. And I enjoy this greatly. I feel like it's fun, get a lot to talk about, get a lot of stuff done. But also I feel like I haven't been able to do the other stuff. Like, cause I've been wanting to revamp and do 2 different YouTube pages. Like the whole goal is to work on a creative page that is where like I live stream this too. So I'm actually multi-streaming to YouTube as well right now. And I want that page, BrittonDraws Academy, to be more like instructional, right? Like I've got almost 10 years of various game design. I've got my master's. I know a thing or two, so I'd like to help spread that knowledge. But I also wanted to do the actual BrittonDraws proper page and do more of like deep dives on overall art and design of games and like more of appreciation. So the elevator pitch for it was, I want one page where you learn and another page where you appreciate. Because those aren't the same people always, right? If you're watching how to do art or breakdowns and stuff, that's a very different energy than just watching like, hey, what makes this design cool? Or, like going into the concept work of a game. Or in Marvel Rivals, I wanted to explore where they came from. So I was going to do a lore and design series where I have the lore of the character. So like, where did this House of M, right? Why does Magneto look like this, right? And I could explain why he looks like this, the source material from the comics, do all of that, and then compare it with what we have in game actually with the source material from the comics, and then maybe go in depth on the design. But yeah, so I've got a lot of ideas that I want to do. But because I'm here streaming way more than I had planned, my timeline gets really borked in a way that I didn't expect. And not necessarily in a bad way. Like I enjoy this, but I almost enjoy it too much because it's almost 1 o'clock and I was supposed to stream till 12:30. So my idea is then, instead of doing on schedule 5 2-hour days, what if I'm now going to transition to doing 3 3-hour days? So it's almost the same amount of time, right? At least on schedule. In functionality, yes, I was doing more. But on schedule, then it's like, okay, I'll do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10:30 to 1:30 doing art. And then Tuesday and Thursdays, I will still stick to gaming in the evening time, like evening as in 3:30. And then that gives me time to work on my video editing stuff and actually get some of the YouTube bits going a little more. Because right now, my focus has been a little more heavily on streaming and not as much on the content side. And I'd like to find a middle ground of that. And so if I do it this way, then Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning, I can pump out more YouTube-based stuff, right? And then still have a lot of fun streaming and hanging out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for art. And then, like I said, gaming. Gaming's a weird one because I just want to do art, but I also want to game and get a different vibe going here. So we'll see. We'll see what games we play. But either way, I think I'm going to adjust my schedule on most of my socials and stuff to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the art of everything. And then it's an ever-growing process. So we'll see. We'll see if that works better. All right. So Triangle Head is no more. No more Mohawk. The only Mohawk in X-Men is for Storm, not Magneto. Not today. So I'm just rounding out now a little bit of these shadows and highlights. Again, just like his original hair that I did. It's not too crazy, just kind of pretty simplified. So I forgot when I fixed up the shape of his face here. I've got a little more I should change here as well. So I'm going to need to quickly fix that, but then I'm going to zoom out and see if we can call it quits for not only today, but just on this piece in general. Because like I said, I want to play some Marvel Rivals today, man. I actually want to play. It's time to play the game. Got to get my rank up. If you're still here, Panda, do you play ranked or do you just play casuals and quick play, I guess is the word. Because I know I like to play quick play with my friends. And then whenever I'm playing by myself, I immediately queue into ranked because I'm like, nope, I want to play competitively. Yeah, climbing, it takes a while. And it's weird. That's why I was saying, like, I kind of like being a tank because I feel like I'm in more control then. Because it does feel like you have less and less control over the scenario the more you queue. Like, but yeah, it does take a while in general because there's the 3 different levels in each rank. So it does take quite some time to queue up and to really get that rank popping. But I don't know. I love that. I love the idea of like playing to get better. That's been my thing in games. Oh gosh, I'm only gold right now. I haven't, we can pop. I've barely, the amount of competitive time I've played. Let's see. We can swap super quick, right? Let's go to here. How do we look at the profile? I always forget. Oh, we click on here. Like, I've only got 11 hours played, and I'd be curious. 7 hours in ranked, a little over 8. I'm gold 3. Okay, see, so you're kicking my butt. I have not had enough time to play ranked lately. When I've been playing, I've been doing... Oh, these are quick matches. Can we switch to competitive? Let's see. Like, when I play, you can see I've been doing fine. I just don't play enough. That's my big thing. Like it's a pretty solid record. Like, yeah, I've got some defeats, but I'm still SVP when I'm playing. But like, solid game. But yeah, you're right. Even with this massive streak, I still haven't really popped up. Still gold. Because yeah, it's if I only have like realistically, I play a few hours of ranked a week because I don't. When I play, like I said, with my friends, I don't touch ranked. One, because one of my buddies plays on Xbox and I'm here on PC, and two, the vibe of my friends aren't people, all of them at least, want to play ranked. So I kind of stick that to being a personal thing. Like, I get to play ranked on my own. But in doing that, then yeah, it takes quite some time. That is, like, you are correct that it's a while. And especially knowing, like, we drop 7 levels at the end. So for those that don't know, when the new season comes around, whatever rank you are, you drop 7 entire levels from where you were the last season, which doesn't sound crazy, but that's a long time to grind that back, I feel like. Especially if you're having bad luck on top of that, then you're just like super screwed. And yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. Especially with limited time. I have not even touched Overwatch in a billion years. I was that guy that got, like, I was so stoked. I got my collector's editions. I got an Xbox collector's edition of Overwatch and the PC version because I just wanted to make sure I had both. Like, I was so excited to play that game when that came out a billion years ago. I still have my Soldier 76 collector's edition statue out on display somewhere in the house. And I played Overwatch a ton. Like, I absolutely loved the first one. I just couldn't get into the second one. And like, granted, I didn't have friends that wanted to play it anymore. Like, we tried the second one and they weren't vibing. And so it's hard with a game like that, that like, if you don't have anybody to play with, it's kind of hard. Especially if you do play with friends regularly. I'm like, well, I play with my friends regularly. And if that's not a game that's able to be in the rotation, it's hard to justify. Whereas that's why I pushed Rivals. And I'm like, I want to play Rivals. You nerds are going to play Rivals with me. And my one friend was like, I'm not playing Rivals. That game looks stupid. I don't even want to deal with it. I was like, you're stupid, first and foremost. Let's just play it. And now he plays it more than I do. Like, way more than I do. Yeah, the monetize, that's the big thing with a lot of games now. It's like, can you monetize in a fair way and something that feels rewarding enough? And I feel like that's one of the big draws right now that Rivals is pretty good at, right? Like, if I spend money, I feel like it's money well spent. Oh, that, I know, that was my thing. That was my saving grace for Overwatch 2 that I was telling my buddies. I was like, well, at least when like the PvE mode comes out, we have to try it again, right? Like, have to. Like, that seems perfect. Like, you gotta remember too that like Overwatch is gorgeous, like absolutely stunning, and the artwork that came out of it is second to none, especially at the time. And so like I've got all their art books, and like all my artist buddies, like all of us, we loved. You didn't have to play the game to love the game, right? Like the shorts that they put out and all of that. And then even with Overwatch 2, I feel like the shorts didn't have the same oomph that they used to, and everything just felt like, yeah, their efforts were put into weird spots, and it just never felt like they knew exactly what they wanted even from the game, which that doesn't feel good as the player then, if you feel like the people who are making it don't also have a good grasp on what they really want. The Ramatra, I don't remember that one. I'll have to, how much time do we got? Can I pull it up? 12:55. All right, I'll go for another like 20 minutes. So let me take a peep at that, because I'm always a fan of looking at that stuff. How do I switch? Oop. YouTube. Rammatra, Ramatra. The origin story or the introduction? These are two different videos. I'm assuming the origin story, because the introduction just looks like it's like a showcase of the character. Yeah.
I was created to lead Omnics into war. But all I have ever wanted is a better life for my people. The fact that we exist is a miracle unto itself. We have studied the ways of peace and harmony.
I like that transition. Like going from that like military to monk that was a really clean transition.
We have tried to coexist with humanity, but humanity is not interested in sharing their world. How many more Omnics should perish to fuel mankind's dreams? No more. Our race is only a single generation. Finite. And dying all too quickly.
It's weird because they're robots, but they've done a good job of like, you feel for it. You know what I mean? Like, that looks so unfair, and so you feel for that story.
Join me, and together we will make a better future for all Omnics.
Yeah, that was clean. See, I'm not gonna say I dislike that, because I think that looked awesome and I love that. But like, the animated shorts are what gets me. You know what I mean? Like, the animated shorts, I feel like they didn't do enough of. The origin stories were really cool. Like, I love, like, I'm doing 2D work right now. Like, this is so clean of work, but I feel like this is telling of what I was even saying, that like, it's still like, I felt like they weren't doing as much effort. But like, that was badass. The idea that like going from warrior to peace to can't hold in the peace because you can't, no one else is choosing peace, so you have to go back to war. Like, that's badass. That's a sad story for sure. Pretty sad, but badass nonetheless, for sure. Yeah, I feel like that again, it lends itself, Overwatch itself lends itself to be like a whole movie, right? Like a whole series, like an actual like I would watch a television show. Like I feel like Arcane has shown how cool you can take these small bits. And so like already we have the animated shorts from Overwatch. If they did the if they went the Arcane route and made like really clean actual shows, I feel like those would do gangbusters, right? Like I know me and all my buddies would absolutely eat that up, like in a heartbeat. But yeah, knowing all of that turmoil and all of that happens in just a single generation, like they see it all. Like we as humans f up a lot here in our lives. Oh gosh, that's big. But like we're dumb and people are stupid and don't realize like, well, time passes. I wasn't affected by this or this. But it's like, no, this is they've literally experienced the whole gamut of everything in just one go. I feel like his eye, real quick, as I'm finishing him up finally, just felt like a little too clouded in shadow. So I'm trying to clean that. It looks really creepy with this blue right now, though. Let's completely get rid of the blue so I don't look like I'm. It's hard to focus actually when you've got like a weird contrast of color like that. So get rid of that. It's just pupil. It's fine. And now I feel like you can get a better gauge when you're not distracted by a wonky eye. Back to black. So his head is at like a slight 3/4 angle, right? So it's always hard to catch that eye just right because it is receding in space, right? Like this eye gets smaller and it's curved around the head. And so, especially when I'm like covering it in pure shadow like this, it's hard to decide like what is visible and what is not to make it still look good. Eyeballs are weird, man. Like, I hate trying to line up the way someone's looking. Like everybody complains about hands, right? That's a big complaint. People in the art always are like, oh, hands, this, that. I don't know, man. I don't know why I have the hardest time just lining up eyes so they're not looking all wonky and cross-eyed, you know? Like, why is that such a struggle? Have me draw a complex hand with knuckles and fingers. Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. Make these eyes look uniform. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Like, so dumb. Like there, I feel like there's too much of the blue visible then. Like a hint of it then maybe. Hard because I went with like such a sketchy, thick style for these lines. Oh gosh, that's still white. That like it's hard to do anything in this small of a space now. I've like backed myself into a corner with how I've drawn this that like I can't really like I don't got the pixels to work with anymore. Like I've run out of room. Am I on the wrong layer? Son of a I am. That's why it's not working. Whoopsies. I mean, I feel like when I first started learning a billion years ago, I used to use more perspective grids. But when it comes to stuff like this, I feel like it's just harder to deal with that kind of, like, there's too much going on. And with like slight organic shapes, I've never really liked perspective grids too much. When it's like if you're doing like, my thing is I'll do a perspective grid when we are working in a like super forced perspective, because that helps really guide stuff. But I feel like when I'm doing stuff like this, I sometimes feel like it's just too much, right? To try and line up with it. But if I'm keeping it more simple, I like to think it's not as needed. But I still F up. Oh, what did I do? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Abort, abort, abort. Put that line back. Okay. Whew. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that, right? That was hideous. You saw nothing. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've done any like weird perspective things in a long time. Like super pushed forced perspective. Like if we pop back to my gallery right now, even just like these are all just like random things. Don't mind my girlfriend's drawing of He-Man here on the middle. Yeah, I don't really seem to mess with like too crazy of perspective anyway. These are we're getting in the weeds now. We're getting old down here, but like my Street Fighter series I did, I don't think these guys really, these are all pretty straightforward. You know, like I don't know. I don't really mess, like, I mean, I guess this Akuma is probably the most forced perspective I kind of messed with in a while. I'm just slamming that big old toe down. Getting his little Akuma piggies. Or like stuff like this where it's like the hand is super in front, but like never like, I don't know, like those super extreme proportion ones. Like I like to play with usually like something in front perspective wise like this, like a heavy oomph. I mean, realistically, it's one of those things, if you get in the habit of doing that kind of stuff, I'm sure it helps a lot. Someone like me is just lazy. Like I can totally see, yeah, setting up even just for 2 points and linear stuff like that, that it would help. But I'm antsy, and I'm that kind of person. I'm like, I'm drawing now. And I just sit down and start sketching random crap. Case in point, like why I end up noodling things and, you know, overdoing sometimes. But, and especially this one. So Arcvane, I normally am way more anal, let's say, right? I am very overly clean with stuff, right? Way overly clean. To my detriment, usually. And this piece in particular was actually me trying to do the opposite of that. So instead of being overly clean, I'm working, if you notice this, I've got my line layer, right? This is it. Lines, strong highlight, and then the paint. All one layer. I never do this. Like this is, and then I've got like extra overlay things I've got for clipping masks and stuff on top. But like, I don't work like this. It's weird. It's hard for me. But I feel like, because like if we look at like here, like this Malice piece I was drawing, right? She has very distinct layers for every single piece. I get way too in the weeds. Like here is all the red for the scarf, and then the shadowing on the scarf. And then this is the gray. And then these are the 2 different shades of gray I want to apply. Like I get too lost in keeping things clean. Like way too lost. You can see these layers. A billion layers. Like I think I hit my limit actually on this Procreate file with all these darn layers. And I still don't like it. Like there's something about it that like I feel like sometimes when I do too tight of work, it doesn't come out as natural as I like it to be. So this, I don't dislike this Malice piece, but it doesn't feel like what I wanted it to feel like. And a lot of my work, like if you look at pretty much everything, like all these Street Fighter pieces I did, the same thing. Like, oh, this is the combined one for the actual submission. I don't know where like the sketch, like the working file of these are, because I had to do a lot of submission forms for these. Okay, so apparently none of these have that, but like they've all got that same energy of like way too many layers. Man, yeah, apparently I deleted all of the working files for these. That's not good. Not that it really matters, I'm sure. Oh, well here, like, yeah, this is a prime example. There's so many damn layers. I'm too organized, and it's like sometimes to my detriment because you get lost. And I feel like when you get lost making art, like, do these turn out? Like, these turned out cool, right? Zangief turned out cool. Marisa turned out cool. Like, I like these clean look, the clean look I did for these. But I feel like you lose like the process. And so that's why I was trying purposefully this piece actually with Magneto to purposely be messy, right? To throw like caution to the wind kind of thing and be like, you know what? I'm just doing whatever the heck I'm doing. I'm making lines, I'm making it etchy, it's gonna be messy, and I'm gonna be okay with that. And to be quite honest, it's been difficult mentally, like to get over that mental shift of wanting to be clean and organized and yet committing to being messy. Feels weird, man. Feels very, very weird. So I actually totally get where you're coming from if you set up the grids and do those kind of things to be extra clean, because internally, I feel like that's what my brain wants to do 9 times out of 10 is be overly organized and clean and prepared. But you've tuned in on a messy day, like a purposefully messy, sketchy, and weird day. The point was to feel like I'm growing then, right? Like if you do it the same way all the time, you don't get better, right? You just keep doing the same things. And I feel like that's kind of the rut I was finding myself in. And so this is my way of trying to be like, hey, step out of your comfort zone. Because when you're out of your comfort zone, that's when you grow. But man, does it feel weird. Feels very weird. Feels bad man kind of energy, you know? Right now, I'm actually just kind of like cranking up since I gave so much shadow to his face. Suddenly, it didn't feel balanced because there wasn't enough shadow like down on the cape then where there actually is shadow, like where I've got like these hard lines and stuff. So I just kind of am going in and giving a little bit more darkness kind of to these spots. Again, being super messy with it because that was the goal of today, of this project in general. But again, cannot stress enough. Feels very weird. But so when you zoom out, then it feels more cohesive. All right, it is getting late. My stomach's rumbling. It is 1:15 almost. Let's take a step back now and as I say that, I'm like, what if I fix a little bit so his nose doesn't have enough shadow? And then I'm done. Then I'm stepping back and putting on my other layers. So let's just give a little bit more of a deeper shadow here. It wasn't standing out enough. Cool. Okay, done. I lied. I'm a liar. If anybody watches me, they know I'm a liar. I change my mind all the time when it comes to the art stuff. Just softening, because I realized his mouth felt too hard, like too pointy. I wanted to flatten it a little bit. And so what I'll do real quick is do the same thing with the highlight. If I make it flat, if the highlight itself is flat and then cuts down, maybe that'll help sell it too. Maybe. Or maybe it looks terrible, as usual. Like I said, I'm a liar. Who knows? Just doing my thing. Good enough, right? Maybe. Yes, no. Maybe. I don't know. So let's slap back on these things and then my weird little background panel. And he's messy. He's messy, all right. But I think I can call him done. What do you guys think? For now, just say. I know I was asked earlier in this morning, how do I know when a piece is done? You don't. You just need to learn when to say you're done. Otherwise, you're going to keep going forever. Though, as I just said, I'm a liar. So give me 1 sec to fix one more thing. No, the boots are the same color-ish. So what I did is actually, it's probably one of these overlay layers. So I added an extra bit of purple. So what I look at here, so these layers I put on top are to not make it look right, but make it look appealing, if that makes sense. So like I do a gradient from the bottom up that kind of darkens and brightens then up top. So it's not super noticeable, right? But it's a little oomph. And then I give a little bit of halftone, this purple pattern, right? A little bit behind there. So it looks like there's some sort of texture to a cape. I do the same thing with his body, ever so slightly. There's this super light halftone, which if anything, I want to tone that down even more. I feel like it's too visible. I want it almost imperceptible. So 6%, even less. Maybe let's do 7. Let's do 8. And then at 8, that looks fine. But then to further so it goes from dark from his legs up to lighter to the hand. I even give one extra pop of a little bit of highlight up here, just a little bit, to kind of draw the eye from the bottom to the top. And then to counter a little bit of that hard white that I did for these outlines on like the side of his body, I have just a slight purple gradient coming from the left to the right to kind of round out and soften. So like if we look particularly like in his face and in the side of his body, it kind of helps recede that into space, right? And so it does, yes, give not an illusion. These feet look like different colors then a little bit. So that is a good catch that they do definitely have like a slight different color because this purple, this purple over it puts it in a deeper shadow kind of. Because the idea is this is in more highlight because it's not even covered by the cape. I have a I always point with my stylus as if you guys can see it. I know you can't, but like my brain thinks you can. I need a camera like right here showing what I'm doing too, because I feel like that would help for my own weirdness of pointing things out. But yeah, so yeah, you said you get it, but yeah, like that's the logic behind it. And sometimes it's those extra little layers that help just take the piece more, right? That you need to learn to guide the eye to where it needs to go. And where it needs to go is like up in, you know, the face and the hand area on his left hand. But no, speaking of that curvature of the form, one of my problems I'm seeing right now, very minor, but it's, if we look at his hair, it feels pretty evenly lit from the left side and the right side. And realistically, we added this really hard shadow now on his right? Yeah, his right side. Our left, his right. So the hair over here is too lit then. Because if this is all in shadow, right? This would also be in shadow. At least not like immensely, but it would be a little darker. And so I think I will do a super quick, I don't know how light I want to make it. just to kind of, again, make sure the shape moves in space, that it feels rounded. I don't really like that. I wonder what I'm going to use a different brush. I was using my fill brush, but sometimes it's easy just to like do a blast of a soft brush. I don't, okay, here, let me be alpha lock it. So what I'm doing here is making sure I don't like get on any other pixel than the pixel that's already there. Because I don't want it to, yeah, have weirdness all around. So if I just maybe give a slight soft airbrush feel. That works, but then now I feel like I'm losing a little bit of the highlight. So let me be more granular with it, because I still want a couple pieces to stand out, right? Because they're flowing. It's hair. It's natural. It's going to be. So if I make the brush a little smaller, I can kind of play with selectively putting things more in shadow rather than just blanket putting that whole side in shadow. Because it's, you know, rounding the head, but also still flowing off on the sides. It's not like it's void of light. It's just getting where this side, his one side is getting hit with light on all aspects. But then when you're rounding a shape like that, it is selective where the light can actually be making contact. So like there, I think that helps round it a little bit more. Again, I didn't want to overdo it, but it at least then has like a curvature to the head then, right? It feels like it is also moving in space rather than just being the face. And that's one thing I always touch on when I'm doing stuff is like, think of what you did and how it affects the rest of the piece, right? Because like it's easy for us to get in like a mindset of like, yeah, I fixed the face. Okay, did you fix the face or did you fix the whole part that then it touches? Because the face then affects the hair and the face affects the comparison to the rest of the body then, right? So nothing in art is an island, right? Everything's somehow connected. And so you have to constantly be going back and forth. Like even here, this outline looks stupid now because I messed with it a lot. Excuse me, the framing of it. So now I need to actually go in and quickly fix this. So this looks weird and I would have almost forgotten about it. Good thing I was just talking about keeping in mind the things that get affected. So this is definitely one of those things where I wanted this to just look like a loose, etchy outline around his body. But then since I changed the way his body looks, right, the way the hair moves and the way his head is shaped, suddenly that space looks a little jank. So quick adjustment here, and then I'll repaint a little bit of this outline. Again, purposely supposed to be messy though. It's not trying to be like a clean outline. It's supposed to just feel like a loose etch. So if we, oh, that is the wrong brush. Boop, boop. If we go back in and just kind of, you know, slide in a little bit of this detail. Apparently this part I missed too. Whoops. And right here. Whoops. Just to make it feel like there's unique shapes going on. And to fill like the negative space with like an intriguing thing. I hate backgrounds. Like I'm the worst. Like I never know how to finish a piece. So I like to just make it feel finished by being unfinished. If that is logic to anyone else other than me, I don't know. But instead of trying to craft the background or put it in space, I'm not a fan of ever just being like, hey, look, it's a white image, especially if I'm putting more detail into it like this. I kind of want these flyaways to be not part of the outline though. Like they're so small that you wouldn't even notice. But I always want something, like putting an image, if it's like a rough sketch and it stays on like a white background, cool beans, man. Like I don't care, it can stay white. But when you're doing something with more color and has more detail, my brain doesn't let me, like I said, with my like weirdly anal and organized brain, doesn't let me say that's okay. So my brain's like, no, 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 you've got to do something though, please. Like, please do something. And so I've settled lately on when my brain says that, I'm like, fine, here's a weird shaped square, and then I'm removing the outline. Like, that's what I'll do. Is it the most effective? Probably not. But does it at least tell my brain to calm down and that I did a thing and you're good enough? Absolutely. Oops. And like even with these like square things, since there's more light coming from our right side, I like the idea then of when I do it to kind of like piggyback off of the lighting scheme a little bit. So like while this is like quote unquote very messy and doesn't really have like overall thought to it, you also give thought to it. Like we said, when you do stuff that's supposed to look messy, sometimes you actually have to make it thoughtful though to make it look good messy. And I feel like this is one of those things where like I want there to be a messiness, but it's also actually a play on where the light is coming from. So if we notice, I'm giving a thicker outline, just a bit, just a little bit, where the light is coming from, which is on this side here, right? So this is a thicker opening between the color and the frame versus generally over here where it's like a messier, etchier kind of like lessened amount of space. And that's perfectly fine to be uneven because it's uneven with a purpose, right? But it feels messy, but then it's also, it looks good because there was a purpose to it. Again, I don't know if I'm just rambling with that, but that's kind of where my brain always goes. Like, messiness still needs to be purposeful. And that is a very difficult thing to do because your brain just goes, yeah, make it messy. But everything is a choice, even the messiness. Like all of my random lines and sketchy things and stuff, like that was a choice. It's not just messy to be messy, which in my case, yes, I'm being messy because that is my goal in this piece is to be messy, but you know what I mean. It makes sense. I swear, I promise. Cleaning up a little bit of this. I know it's messy, but giving a little bit more. Like I said, trying to make this a little smaller of a frame where it's further away from the light. Just a little. Cool. Okay. I know we talked about before the idea of when do you call it to be done, and I think I need to say that's now for my own sake. We are at 1:30, and that was my new goal, right? My new streaming schedule was going to be 10:30 to 1:30 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm cutting out Tuesdays and Thursdays so I can focus more on some of my video editing stuff that I want to get done. But I think we can call this bad boy finally. I don't know. If I look at it more, thank you. Give myself a clap. I've deserved this. I've earned this. Like, I need. Okay. Just kidding. Don't clap for me yet. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Literally just this. There's a tangent. Like, so there's a thing in art where like if things are too close to overlapping, it looks weird. And oops, bumped the mic. This is one of those things. This messy line it was too close. It was too close to that edge. I just need to give it a little bit of inner part. So don't take back your clap. It's still there. It's still there. It's still done. Okay. Now I'm done. I promise. This, I promise you, He's messy. He's done. So again, to give a recap, thank you for people who haven't been here this week or the past month in general. I am a very strict artist. I'm very anal, and this has been a big struggle for me to focus on breaking that cleanliness and hopefully learn something. And so for people watching now, for people watching later on the VODs and stuff, that like it's important to break what you're doing to get uncomfortable. Like growth doesn't occur unless you're uncomfortable. And do I feel like this is my favorite piece I've ever done? No, absolutely not. Is it something that I got uncomfortable doing and now I can like learn from it and kind of refine what I want to do? Absolutely. So I think as a whole, I'm happy with it, and I'll definitely slap this on my socials. I have tried to eliminate my use of Instagram just because of the world going on right now. And same with Twitter. So I started a Blue Sky. I've got like 20 people on Blue Sky. It's the same name everywhere, BrittonDraws, except for Instagram, it's Britton_draws because there's an inactive account that's never been used with BrittonDraws. But anyway, BrittonDraws everywhere else, and I'll kind of slap it on some socials maybe and pretend I'm proud of it for visual sake, but I know I'm proud of at least, the growth. But yeah, I'm starving right now. Like it is one of those days where like, when you start getting that like headachy hungry, that's me right now. So I'm headachy hungry, so I need to call this for a quit. But I also, like I said, I've been trying to do more content creation stuff. So one of the things is really lame, but it's thumbnails. Thumbnails are weird. Like when you look at videos, you always see thumbnails. And so I've been doing these streams on YouTube too, which means there needs to be a YouTube thumbnail for like this individual stream. So case in point, I'm going to do like, I always forget where the camera is because it's flipped horizontally for me. So nothing is like, so the arcade cabinet reads legibly, not backwards text. But anyway, this way, right? I'll do a thumbs up actually, because I'm proud. Done. Right? I was totally gonna do that with hands. This hand hack will save your life, will change your way of making art. Because if you go back, when I did Mr. Incredible, I did a whole rant on hands. And I was like, man, that would be funny if I just like one of my first videos for the Art Academy page is this art hack will change how you draw hands. Like it's dumb, but like those work. I'll click on them. If it works on me, it clearly works on other people. But all right, I need to call it. Thank you guys for joining me as usual today. I will be back, like I said, next week. The schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10:30 to 12, 10:30, 1:30 for art, and then general rule of thumb is evenings are games if I'm streaming. So next week is actually Orcs Must Die. I really want to play that game. It comes out on Tuesday. I love the old games, and so if you want to come stick around for that too, try a new game, definitely will be fun. But for now, I'm going to eat, and I'm going to hopefully make some time to actually play Marvel Rivals later, and get a few other things done. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you guys have a good weekend moving forward, and be kind and kick butt.